It's 3 o'clock, so we're live. Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Selfridge. Welcome to our live stream. Got a few people on here already. I'm very excited. We got some stuff happening in the chat room. And of course, we were off last week because of Easter Sunday. And I'm happy to be back. What is today? Sunday, April 16th, 2023. And we're here every week for a live stream with me, Dr. Selfridge. So basically what we do, by the way, as always, guys, let me know how the sound is and all that stuff if you can't hear anything or something's too loud. But what we do is we have a nice conversation in the chat. You can ask me questions about playing instruments, and you can request songs for me to play. I take requests. I can't necessarily always get to every request, but I try to. And happy to take your questions. Just make sure, as always, we like to get to know everyone who's watching. So if you're asking a question, particularly about whatever instrument you're asking about, let me know what instrument you play. It also helps to know kind of what level of experience you have playing your instrument. Sometimes that helps me answer your questions. So we already have some great questions in the chat, and I want to say hello to some people. So we're going to dive right into that. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to go right here. Beautiful. Okay, so we did have our good friend Mike Hamilton, who I haven't seen in a couple weeks. Mike, how are you doing? Good to see you. So Mike was in here a little bit early, but hopefully you're back, Mike, for the start of the show. Oh, and Official Pug Channel says today is Easter for your family, for Official Pug Channel. Shrek is a Legend, who's one of our friends who's here pretty much every week. So that's fun. So happy Easter to anyone who's celebrating that today. Ours was last week. And Rory McGeehan says, it's been a while, but I'm back. Hello to Rory. And Rory, it's going great. We just finished, so last week, for my school, the week before Easter, is when we have our spring break. So we had Easter on Sunday, then we had off school on Monday too. They give us Easter Monday as well to kind of give us a little bit of a running start into the last part of the semester. So we had our week school this past week, and things are just really gearing up for the last really busy season before we have our summer break. A lot of things happening. Our spring band concert is coming up. Jazz band's got some performances. Our color guard's got some performances. Our drum line's got performances. And meanwhile, we've got getting ready for final exams and all that stuff. So all kinds of things happening. So Mia is here. Hi, Mia. Good to see you. Always happy to see you here. Mike says hola. Hola to Mike. I'm just going to move this a little bit so I can see a little. So I can move my laptop over a little bit. There we go. That's better. Oh, Chase is here. Hi, Chase. So Chase is one of my students at the school district I teach, and Chase's brother, older brother, is one of my students as well, and Chase's brother was in a big concert today. So Chase, were you at the concert? Let me know how it went. Okay, I'm curious. Okay, so we actually have a question. Why is it B flat and C at the same time? That's a great question. So it has to do with something called transposing. So I'm going to move some things around here so I can show you. Let's see. If I move my keyboard forward. So, okay, let me get my keyboard working. So basically, here's the deal. Here's the short answer, okay? Sorry, I'm moving things around, so there we go. So on the standard of what a note name is the piano. So on a piano, that's a B flat. Okay, let me even show you, see if I can show you my camera here. There we go. So there's a B flat right here, okay? Now the thing is, depending on the instrument that you're playing, this same sound might have a different name. And it's a little bit complicated why we have transposing instruments, but basically we call this concert B flat because it's piano. We just call it concert B flat. That's what we call it. And then on an instrument like a flute, we play B flat and it's the same note. But transposing instruments like saxophone, clarinet, trumpet, what else transposes? French horn. Yeah, I think I pretty much named them. Trumpet, clarinet, saxophone, French horn. I'm probably forgetting something. Anyway, on an alto sax, if I want to, or you asked about a C. On a clarinet or a trumpet, if I want to play this note B flat on piano, I have to play a C on my instrument. So that's why sometimes on a clarinet or a trumpet, I might call it a C, but it's actually a B flat on the piano. And that's the answer to that question. And so I actually have a little trick for remembering transpositions of different instruments. The name of the instruments. You know how different instruments have different names of their key? Like we call it a B flat clarinet. We call it a B flat trumpet. We call it an E flat alto sax. We call it an E flat baritone sax. We call it an F horn or a horn in F. We call it an E flat clarinet if it's an E flat special, you know, a slightly smaller than a B flat clarinet. What else? All the different instruments have names. So here's the deal. What the name of the instrument is the note that comes out of your instrument when you think in your head you're putting your fingers on a C on your instrument. What's actually coming out is the name of the instrument. It's a little confusing. So for example, if I'm playing an E flat alto sax, if I play the note C for me in my own mind as an alto sax player, I put my fingers for what I think of as a C. The note that's coming out is actually E flat because this is an E flat alto sax. All right? So I could talk about that for a while, but that was a bit of a long answer. Let's get to some more questions. Okay. Let me know if that made sense. I know I said a lot of things there. Okay, our friend Arnaldo is back. Arnaldo, it's great to see you. Arnaldo joins us quite often, but I don't think I've seen you in a little while, so it's good to see you here. Sao Paulo, Brazil. Beautiful sunny day. Yeah, today is, I'd say it's where I am. It's kind of like a mixture of cloudy and some sun, but the weather has been really nice lately. We're getting into our spring. It's starting to actually feel like summer. Okay. Hello to Leonardo. Good to see you, my friend. There we go. Clarinet B flat. Hopefully that I was answering the question that you were asking about C and B flat. Mike is here. Leonardo is saying Happy Easter to our friends who celebrate Easter today. Mike, sure, I'd be happy to play that request. That's a fun one. So I'm going to do that playing request. But I'm going to answer Chase's question. Okay, Chase, if you're still here, hope you're still here. Get a cleaner sound on brass with middle to high school experience. Okay, so Chase, I know just because I know you that you already have a very good sound on your brass instruments, but I'll give you some general tips on how to get a better sound. I'd say I'm going to do a trumpet because I have a trumpet handy right here. For me, whenever someone asks about getting better tone quality, the first answer I always give, or the first strategy I always give, is something called long tones. So what are long tones? They're actually pretty self-explanatory by the name. Long tones are when you're practicing your instrument and you're playing notes, tones, for a long time. So, or you're holding a tone for a long time. Now, there's a couple different goals for playing long tones. One goal for playing long tones is your first goal is you're working on your ability to hold a note steady with no wavering in the sound and have a steady sound and extending how much air you can breathe in and sustain a note. So just duration of the note and holding it steady. That's long tone goal number one. So I'm not warmed up at all. Let's say I'm going to play a So I'm going to play a G on trumpet, which is a F on piano. So goal number 1 would be take a deep, deep, deep breath, and just how long can you hold that note steady with as little wavering as possible? I won't hold it as long as I can because that would be a little boring. It's like 40 to 50 seconds. I'll hold it about 15 seconds maybe, if that. So I'm not sure exactly how long that was. I don't know if anyone timed me. But the goal was to just keep your body still and your sound still. Okay, so that's goal number 1. Second thing on a long tone is while you're holding your note, focus on the sound that you're making. So you should be listening intensely on the sound that you're making with your instrument. So not just like accepting that whatever sound is coming out that's your sound. You can listen carefully, and you can make teeny tiny little adjustments to your embouchure. Maybe your lips need to be a little bit more closer together. Maybe that you can sort of relax your lips a little bit or open up the inside of your mouth like you're saying oh, that kind of opens up your sound. There's all kinds of things you can do to get the perfect sound that you have in your mind. And so you want to have a concept of what is the perfect sound to make. There is no necessarily perfect sound, but what is a really, really good sound that you want to sound like? And the way you get that concept is you have to listen to professional musicians that you admire and get to know what a really, really good trumpet sound sounds like, or French horn sound sounds like, or trombone, or tuba, or euphonium. So you're listening, and now this time, instead of just holding the note as long as I can, I'm making small adjustments to my lips, to the inside of my mouth. It's called your voicing. The way my throat is shaped, more open, generally is better. And your airstream, and just see how you want to get that perfect sound. Or what do you have to do to get the sound that you want? Okay, so I would demonstrate that for another 15 seconds or so. And then I'll give you one more thing for long tones that I really like. And this applies for everybody, no matter what instrument. Well, anyone who plays an instrument that uses air, okay? Actually, bowed instruments, violins, violas, can do this too because you're practicing your bow control. Anyway, focusing on wind instruments, anything that you use air for, goal 3 for long tones would be doing dynamics and seeing, can you control your sound and have a good sound when you're playing extremely quietly all the way to extremely loudly or strongly. That's what forte means. Forte means strong. So I do 3 kinds of crescendos and decrescendos. I do start medium loud and get as soft as you can, and then start soft and get as loud as you can, but the only rule there is you're not allowed to get so loud that it becomes an ugly sound. It just kind of goes over the cliff. You don't want that. You want a pleasant sound, but strong. And then the third kind is you start loud, get as soft as you can, and then back up to as loud as you can. I'll do the loud, soft, loud long tone. Try to play it with a good sound here. Notice the big breath I'm taking before I start. I get everything set. I get my embouchure kind of ready to go, and I take a deep breath deep down into my belly. Set the embouchure. So that, my sound was a little bit uneven, but that's basically what you do to improve your tone. So again, that was a long answer, but that was a really good question. Let's see here. I'm going to do Mike's request. third quarter above the music staff. G minor. Okay, so here's another one from Leonardo. A G minor scale on the flute in the third quarter above. Oh, you mean all the way up to, that would be all the way up to a high G. Let me do this one real quick, and then I'll do Mike's request of What a Wonderful World. Mike, is it okay? I'm going to play Wonderful World on alto sax, but G minor scale. Okay. Oh, I have a fun thing about scales I want to talk about, but maybe I'll talk about it later. Okay. So, minor scales. There are two ways to figure out a minor scale. One way is to take a major scale and alter or lower the correct notes. So let's do it that way. I'm going to play, instead of a G, we want G minor, so I'm going to take what I know is a G major scale, which is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And so which notes get flatted or lowered by a half step to turn a major scale into a minor scale? Does anyone know? You can type it in the chat if you know. For a natural minor scale, which is the one we usually start with, you flat the third, the sixth, and the seventh. So I'm going to take my B, which is the third, make it a B flat. I'm going to take my E natural, which is a sixth, I'm going to make it an E flat. And then my F sharp, which is the seventh, make it an F natural. So we end up with this. Okay, and then to do Leonardo's request, which is to do it in the above the music staff, we're going up into this octave. So I'm starting at the top of the staff. A is one ledger line. Now I'm up on the high D, which is two ledger lines above two ledger lines, note above it. E flat, which is the everything note for flute. Everything I say. So your thumb, 1, 2, 3, pinky, 1, 2, 3, pinky. High E flat. Then a high F. And then a high G, which is the same as all your other Gs, just lift up your thumb. There's your G minor scale. Okay, now I want to go back to, oh, Mike got the right answer there. Good job. And Helen was asking what kind of minor. Yeah, so natural minor. And there's other types of scales we could talk about, but let's put scale music theory to for another time, and let's go to Mike's request to play "What a Wonderful World." Love this song. So for this, how am I going to do this? Okay, I am going to get my play along track. So you guys know how I usually do this. I go to YouTube and I type in the name of the song, What a Wonderful World, and then I add play along. That usually gets it. For B flat instruments, it has different sheet music for different instruments. Let me show you what I'm looking at here. Bloop. So I'll go back to showing you my screen. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to go here. Nope. Here, and there I am. Okay. And so we're going to find a play along track. I'm just going to take out the Louis Armstrong part because it's pretty. Everybody, most of these videos, you don't need that. Okay, so I'm going to put alto sax. See what I get. Perfect. Let's check this out. See what it sounds like. That's pretty good. I really like this play-along version. Very nice backing track. Cool. Okay, let's go back here. Thank you for that request, Mike. That was a great request. And I'm going to go back to our chat and take some more questions and requests. Here we go. So that was for Mike. That was What a Wonderful World. Made famous by this famous jazz musician over my shoulder. I have this really cool artwork that I got in New Orleans when I went. It's kind of funny that it's not funny. It is a coincidental, Mike, that you made that request, because I was just talking with Joe, one of our team members here, about one of our trips to New Orleans, and that's where I got that artwork with Louis Armstrong. Okay, let's see. Pepsi Cola says, "How was everyone's Easter?" I'm glad to hear that yours was a good day. Morphin, I remember you. Good to see you here. Helen, you are welcome. Mason wants Sweet Home Alabama on clarinet. Okay, I'm going to try to get back to that request, okay? I'm going to answer maybe some questions first. So, let's see. Leonardo. Oh, this is a great question. You guys are asking me nice questions that let me explain, give me an opportunity to explain some really good music theory concepts that are really good to understand. So, some people might already know the answer to this. I'm sure some of you do. Can you explain why F sharp is the same as G flat on the trumpet in the third row above the music staff? So, Leonardo, an F sharp is the same as G flat, same sound, and that's not just on trumpet. That actually is a true fact of music, no matter what instrument you're playing. Okay, and the reason is this. Real quick explanation. We're going to go to keyboard view. Here we go. I'm going to move this up a little bit so you guys can see a little better. There we go. All right, so in order to really understand this, it helps to understand the piano keyboard and what the notes are, but you don't necessarily have to, because I'm just going to show you real quick. So general principle is, if you want to, the smallest distance you can move on from either going up or down is called a half step. And that's when you go from one key, let me turn this up. That's when you go from one key to the very next key next to it. So that's a half step up, that's a half step down. So if I just go half steps all the way up, it's a chromatic scale. And so the other thing you need to know is that on a piano, the white keys are the plain letter notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and the black keys are notes that are the flats and sharps. So let me show you real quick. Here's the answer to your question. Here is a G. So when we take a letter note and we go down a half step to the half step below it, that's called making it flat. So G flat. We call this key right here G flat. That's called G flat. But if you're on, say you're here on this key, this is an F, to sharp a note means to take the note and go up a half step. So taking my F and going up a half step. But you might say, we already said that the name of this key is G flat, right? Well, this is the crux of the answer to your question. All of these black keys actually have two names that you can call them, and it's the same sound. This key right here, depending on your musical context, we could call it G flat because it's G flat, or we could call this note F sharp because it's F sharp. So one really interesting exercise to go through to practice this is go through all of your sharp and flat notes and figure out what the alternate name for it is, right? Here's G sharp, also known as A flat. Okay, so hopefully that clears it up for you. I know it's a little bit confusing, but hopefully that made sense. All right, Mike Hamilton says long tones. Yes. Morphin says a good guitar brand as a beginner. I'm going to be honest right off the bat here. I don't have a a really go-to brand of guitar that I'd say as a particularly for a beginner. I will say that I know that like Fender, Gibson are good brands, Yamaha. It also depends what kind of guitar you're getting, whether you're getting an acoustic guitar with steel strings, or are you getting a acoustic guitar with classical nylon strings, like a classical guitar, or if you're getting a plug-in electric guitar. There's lots of different options. So yeah, I would say go for a brand name that is a well-known name. Fender, Gibson, Yamaha. What am I missing? Maybe someone might have some suggestions in the chat, but those are 3 really good ones. Okay. What is a good jazz song for the saxophone? Well, Jenny, I just played Careless. I'm reading Chase's request to do Careless Whisper. I wouldn't consider that a jazz song, but I'll play that. Anyway, good jazz song for the saxophone. I just played, what was the request? What a Wonderful World. There's 10,000 songs you could play that could be considered a good jazz song for saxophone. The song that came up, oh, you know what? All right, good. So Mike gave an answer to Jenny's question, and I agree with both of these answers. Autumn Leaves is a good one. Here's Autumn Leaves. What key is this in? Autumn Leaves. And then, of course, Take 5 is one everybody knows, right? Okay, so Take 5 is a really good one. A lot of good options. Let's see. Just the two of us is a good one. Mike asked, is it the same for long tones on sousaphone? Yeah, Mike, any instrument that you're trying to get better at that uses wind, uses air, wind instrument, long tones. Same for any instrument. Tanner Ruby said amazing. Thank you, Tanner. I appreciate that. How do you stop squeaking on clarinet? Oh, I got to do Chase's. All right, Chase, I'll do your request real quick. But then I'm going to answer how to stop squeaking on clarinet. Okay. I'll play it for you real quick. This is a fun song. And as I've explained to my students multiple times, they're probably tired of hearing me tell this story. But Careless Whisper is one of those songs that I don't have perfect or absolute pitch, it's called. I don't have that skill, which is something you have to be born with. But I do have a really good pitch memory for this song. I can always hear the first note. Do, high C sharp. I can just imagine myself playing it on the alto sax, and I can always pick that note out. Anyway, here we go. Here's Careless Whisper. Get a little reverb. Hello, reverb. Cool. Here we go. Sounds better with the super duper reverb on there. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I was going to answer the squeaking question. How do you stop squeaking on clarinet? Okay. So, squeaking on clarinet. Let's go through what could be the culprit. Number one, check your reed. Make sure it's on. Let me go overhead cam for this. There we go. Check your reed. Make sure it's on straight. make sure it's not crooked, or make sure it doesn't have any cracks or problems with it. Make sure it's a good reed, okay? So that's number one. And also make sure your reed is warmed up and working properly. Another thing that can happen with causing reeds to squeak is if the reed has been exposed to a lot of different weather changes. The wood, or the cane, it's not wood. I don't know what you call it. It's cane. It's like a type of bamboo. Can warp, which means a warped reed means that the surface of the reed is not completely flat, and so that causes it not to seal the air like it should against the mouthpiece, and that can cause some pretty unpleasant squeaks. So reed issues aside, check your embouchure. Smooth bottom lip stretched across your teeth. Smooth, flat, pointed chin. You're engaging your muscles here. Good, consistent embouchure where you're not choking off the reed. You're letting the reed vibrate, but you're also supporting the reed with your embouchure muscles. Long tones. Getting back to long tones will help you with that. And doing slow scales. What was the third thing I was going to say? It could be the way you're sitting and the way you're holding your instrument. Are you sitting with good posture, and are you holding the instrument properly with a good angle, good playing posture? And when you press your fingers down, are you pressing the exact keys that you are intending to press and making sure you're completely covering the holes with your fingertips? So you want to press down and then look at your fingertips and see if you have there we go. See if you have the little circle indentations, which shows that you are completely covering the holes. Let me show you overhead cam here. Here we go. So I'm going to press the holes real strong. You guys see the indentations on my fingers? That means that's sort of like evidence. That's kind of like evidence that you are completely covering the holes. Okay. Lots of great questions. Wow, you guys are really keeping me busy today, which I love. I love having a busy chat room, so thank you. So this relates directly to the question I was just answering. Leonardo says, I'm having problems with getting the note C on the clarinet, third quarter above the music staff. So there's a little bit in the way you're asking the question, Leonardo, when you say the third quarter above the music staff. I'm not sure what you mean by third quarter, but I assume you mean the high C, which is 2 ledger lines above the music staff. That's how I would phrase it. The high C, 2 ledger lines above the music staff. So for me to give you advice on that would depend if you tell me, if you could describe, it's kind of like when you go to the mechanic and you say, my car is having problems. The mechanic will ask you to describe, well, what's the sound that you're hearing? What's the sound that the engine is making or whatever? So can you describe to me what's happening when you're trying to play the high C? If it's something where you're trying to play the high C and no sound is coming out at all, but no air is happening either, like that, that's a big problem a lot of times with younger players where they're crunching down too hard on the reed and no air is getting through. So it could be that. Is it a thing where you hear air, but it's not coming out like, does it sound like that? If it sounds like that, that pretty much means that everything's on point. Like you're probably your thumb's in the right place. You're using air, but you need to firm up your embouchure. Engage your muscles more. Right? The other culprit could be, again, getting back to the reed. If you have kind of a reed that's kind of flimsy and is maybe like a number 2 reed or a 2.5, you might need to move up to a 3 or a 3.5, because that, as you get higher in the clarinet, the softer reeds can't stand up to those high notes. They close off and they don't give you the support you need. So anyway, there's a couple of tips on the high notes on the clarinet. Tanner wants River Flows in You by Yeruma on piano or tenor sax. Or sax. I just made up the tenor part. This is a really popular song, isn't it? And I actually have never learned this song. Let me do this. Let me go to YouTube. And I'm going to see if I can find River Flows in You And I'm going to look for sheet music. Let's see what happens. Easy version. Let's do the easy version. Because I've never played it before. Okay. So this is the easy version because it's only one hand. Ooh. It's kind of hard when the page turns, so I don't always know what's coming next. There we go. Oh. I don't have my tenor sax with me at the moment, so playing it on piano. C, B, C, B, C, G, C, F, E, F. Very nice melody. This would be a good one to learn if you're trying to teach yourself piano. Repeating stuff we've already done, but here we go. This is the ending. There it is. Oh, look at that. Beethoven's Ode to Joy is next. Cool. Okay, that was a great suggestion. Thank you for that one. Nice song. You know, it just kind of reminded me when I was playing that, you know, I said like the song had a lot of repeating things of things I had played earlier in the song. So that just reminded me because I'm in my music theory class at school. I have a sort of introductory music theory class, and I have a AP music theory class. And in both classes, we're working on some composing of music. And one of the things I say, if you're trying to write or compose music, a really important thing to keep in mind is a sense of balance between having new ideas in your melody, where your melody is doing different things or new things, but don't forget the very important part of having repetition in your melody or things that come back that you've already done. Don't feel like, I don't know, I think sometimes younger students composing, people who are new to composing, I should say, feel like their whole melody needs to be like this. Every new note in their melody needs to be like this new creative exploration of something different. And if you have a melody that's everything is different, you know, like something like this, where you're kind of going, you know, oh, I turned my music down. Sorry, here we go. Here's music. Right, that melody you've already forgotten as the listener, and you can't blame you. You've already forgotten what I played at the beginning of the melody. So writing a good melody is a balance of new stuff and repeating ideas, so you can bring the listener in, so that the river flows in you. I know you can't see with the. Here we go. So now you can overdo that, right? You can have too much repetition, and when a song has too much repetition, it gets the reputation of being sort of like a song that like kind of drives you crazy because you it's like so simple that you want something new. So something like that might be. And it's the same thing, right? So that's too much repetition. So a good melody has both. A balance. A balance. Okay. Easy blues scale to practice. I know I'm behind on the chat. I'll try to move a little bit faster. Mike, I'd say the easy blues scale to practice on sax would be, I'd say the D blues scale might be one of the easier ones, because it's almost in one octave, like in one range of the saxophone. D, F, G, G sharp, A, C, D, and it uses a lot of notes that it doesn't use a lot of sharps. It's got only one note that's like a pinky note. So D, F, so here it is. D, F, G, G sharp, or we could call that note A flat, A, C, and then D with the octave key. That's a D blues scale, which that's a good one. It kind of sits nicely on the saxophone. All right. So we got more requests coming in. So let me sort of buzz through and do as many questions as I can. We got Girls Like You, Maroon 5, Major 7th on the flute. Well, that's Leonardo. Here's a real quick one, easy. Major 7th is simply whatever major scale you're playing, you just play do, and then instead of doing the high do, 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 that's an octave. If you go one step from the top, do, T, that's a major 7th. So let's say I'm going to do it in G. It'd be G, G, F sharp. Or if I was doing it in B flat, it would be B flat up to A. You can always, my trick for audiating a major 7th or hearing it in my head before I play it on my instrument is I imagine the octave, do, do, and I just go down a half step, do, T, do, do, T, do. So singing intervals is really good for developing your musical ears. All right. Vibrato on brass. I know I'm behind the chat here. Vibrato on brass, Chase. It's kind of like very coincidental, some of these questions I'm getting, because Friday night, if you guys follow me on Instagram, where's my Instagram? Here we go. There I am, at Dr. Selfridge on Instagram. If you follow me, one of my posts this weekend was I got to do a judge / clinician gig at a middle school jazz festival. It was a lot of fun. One of the questions that I got from the students was I was playing for them, and they said, how do you do that vibrato thing? So vibrato is, very simply, you are moving your embouchure usually, except on flute, you kind of vary the pulsation of the air speed. But on most wind instruments, it's a movement of the embouchure to do a very pleasing sound of the primary note kind of wavering up and down in a pleasing way, just like a singer sings. So when a professional singer sings a note, they usually don't just sing la, that would be a flat, straight tone. They usually, eventually, put some vibrato on it. La. And if I was a professional singer, it would sound better. But we do that on a brass instrument, on trumpet, or it's usually not done on French horn. That's just the tradition of the style of the instrument. But trumpet, trombone, vibrato, especially in solo passages, just go. I think of the syllable ya, 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 ya. So your jaw, your lips are moving a little bit. And this comes back to full circle what I was talking about at the early part of this live stream, which is always, always find great examples of professional high-level players, listen to them, and just copy what you hear. And that's basically how you get good at music. Listen to professionals and copy them, copy what you hear to sound like them. And then with the help of a private teacher, they can give you some tips and tricks and guide you along. Maybe if there's something you don't understand what a professional's doing, a teacher can help you with that. But most of it, honestly, is just listening and imitating. Okay? Yesterday by the Beatles, great requests. Let me skip through and see if I can get more questions. Helen, right? Enharmonics, very good. Oh, right, MB. So yeah, I know we're going back to what I was talking about. Enharmonics. Well, here's the thing. There are two spots. Let me show you on the keyboard. MB brings up a good spot. Every black key has two names, right? So you're like, okay, F sharp and G flat, G sharp and A flat, A sharp and B flat. But say you're on a B here, there's no black key between B and C. And there's actually a really good music theory video. I forget who did it. It's like it explains why aren't there black keys between every note, and there's an explanation for that. But anyway, here's the thing. What we do is it's a little bit weird, but sometimes in sheet music, when you go B to C, they might call C. You might see a B sharp, and when you see B sharp, that is the same as the note C. And you might say to yourself or other people, what's the point? Why would I call this a C sharp? I mean, why would I call this a B sharp when I can just call it a C? There are music theory reasons why you would do that, and the more you study it, it'll make sense. Just take my word for it for now. But then C, and then you go to C down here to B, we could call this key C flat, C flat. So the other word for B is C flat. It's weird, right? Okay. What time is it? We got about 10 minutes left. So let's see. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Thank you. Arnaldo did remind you all to just like the video. I do appreciate that. And of course, subscribe. If you're watching and you enjoy my videos at all, just please subscribe. It just helps. I appreciate it. Got a lot of requests. Leonardo says that they collected a lot of eggs. Cool. Al Jarreau. Oliver wants something from Al Jarreau. So, Oliver, do you have a specific request? Al Jarreau I like that request, but off the top of my head, I actually don't know I can't think of any of his big hits. But if you have one that you really like, let me know. All the time in the world. Yes, syrup and biscuits. Oh, wow, Mike has a friend, has a collection of about 70 guitars. Wow. But yeah, Yamaha is a good brand. And Mike, I'm sorry to hear that the loss of your friend. Very sorry about that. All right, here's a question. Do you have any tips on what to specifically work on in order to improve playing high notes on the trumpet and being able to maintain some endurance? Okay, so two things. I've heard a couple of approaches from professional trumpet players. So one thing that comes to mind is working on a scale. So whatever the top of your range is, you want to keep trying to push that top higher gradually. So like, say you top out, like for me personally, because I don't play trumpet a lot, I don't practice trumpet because I'm a saxophone player, so I don't practice trumpet a lot. But I kind of top out at an F on the top of the staff and a G. So F is like a pretty comfortable upper note for me. G, see, notice I'm playing a scale to get myself to my high note. So as you get higher, you want to think about increasing your airstream, My eyebrows are probably lifting up too without me even doing it on purpose, but I kind of do that. That doesn't really help. Doesn't hurt, but it doesn't help. So I would, if my goal was to increase my range and endurance, well, the best way to increase endurance is just practice a lot. Practice, practice, practice. And I know brass players, it's a big deal to make sure you warm up properly and you warm down properly. So warming down is a big thing on brass instruments, not so much on woodwinds. We just don't have as many issues with embouchure that brass players have to deal with. But warming down means when you get done playing, if you're playing something really intense, don't just put your instrument away and be done. Actually take time after a session and just play some very gentle long tones and scales to kind of just warm down your lips. Anyway, I would practice scales that kind of get to the top of my endurance or my range and just kind of stay there for like as long as I can until I really get tired. So I would just practice my F major scale. And then maybe it's like going to the gym. Each time you practice, maybe after a couple of sessions, you add some more weight, right, to the barbell or whatever. So maybe you go a step higher. So maybe I play and I'll go the eyebrows are going. Maybe I'll try to go up to the A now. Yeah, that's where I kind of top out. Right? And so a good brass teacher can guide you through that. There's ways you want to work on your airstream and the way your tongue is shaped and all kinds of intricate things you can do to help achieve those high notes. So hopefully that was some helpful stuff. We're getting closing in on the end here. Arnaldo got a couple of plastic reeds, more expensive than the woodwinds. I've always used them, but okay. I'm glad you're liking them, Arnaldo. I do know people that play plastic reeds and like them, or plastic or synthetic, whatever material they're using. I will say I recently tried out. I purchased two synthetic reeds for tenor. I got like a medium and a medium soft. And I'm glad I have them because in a pinch, if all of your traditional regular cane reeds are just kind of not working, I've been in that situation where like I'm on a gig or a concert and all my reeds are just failing me and nothing's working. You could slap that plastic reed on there and it's going to work because there's no issues with warping I was talking about earlier. So yeah, but I feel like I can't get the real richness of the sound that I like from a traditional reed, but it's like a trade-off. Okay. All right. So Mason, Sweet Home Alabama on clarinet. So this is Mason, I appreciate you being here for so long on the stream and coming back with that request. So I'm going to see if I can honor this request. This is one that you never know. I'm going to search. You never know. I'm Googling clarinet, Sweet Home Alabama, and look at that. Someone does have it on here. How to play Sweet Home Alabama. Let's see what this is like. All right. Sight reading. Same issue when the page turns, I can't always see what's coming. I would not have guessed that there's sheet music for Sweet Home Alabama for clarinet on YouTube, but you never know. That's why I always Google it first, just to see. That's cool. So you could Google that. I don't know what your current development level on clarinet is, Mason, but that is, I'd say that's maybe it's a little challenging for a beginner. If you're middle school or been playing a couple years, or high school, that's playable with some practice. You gotta get all your sharps in there. Okay, so guys, we are going to be wrapping up. So if I did not get to your request, I apologize. I know I got a lot of requests today, but I also got a lot of great questions, and I wanted to make sure I answered those questions. But let me just do a few last things here. Mike requested When the Saints Go Marching In, and Leonardo came in as well. So I'm going to play this one for you real quick. And this goes, again, with our theme of Louis Armstrong there, my artwork, because this is When the Saints Go Marching In is kind of like one of the theme songs of New Orleans. So here we go. Put a little background. Not background, what's that called? Echo. There you go. One time through is fine. Saints Go Marching In. It's usually done in the key of F, which is what I just played, F major. MB, you're welcome. I hope that was helpful for you. Thanks, Leonardo. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew, good to see you here again. Robert says quarter strength increments last longer. Actually, Robert, I think that's the one I got. I think I got Legere. But I don't know. I like it, but something about it's something you get used to, I'm sure. But the feeling of the synthetic, it's just smooth as opposed to the feeling of the reed. And I also just feel like I can't get the depth of tone quality that I get on my traditional reeds. But they work well for a lot of people. Arnaldo, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it. Enjoy your lovely weather today. See you, Chase. Good to see you, bud. And Mike, great to have you on here. Thank you so much. Folks, as I wrap up, let's see. Let me go turn this off. I'm going to be wrapping up soon. But as I do, I'm going to encourage you to come back next week. We're here every Sunday. Pretty much every Sunday. Had a couple of weeks there where it was kind of tricky scheduling-wise, but every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring your instrument, bring your questions. In the meantime, everybody, have a great week. Make sure you practice your instrument. Come back with some questions and things for me next time. So, as I'm wrapping up here, a few more shout-outs here. Okay, Robert, thank you so much. Leonardo, thank you so much. And everyone else who's been on, thanks for watching. The next screen you're going to see is how you can contact me, email, and things like that. So everybody have a great week, and don't forget to practice. Okay, I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.